Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the missing person case of Mekayla Bali, who lived in Saskatchewan, Canada. I just wanted to let you know that all the information I have compiled has been found on the internet and I've tried to base it off these facts. At the time of her disappearance on the 12th of April 2016, Mekayla was 16 years of age when she vanished. Her friends last saw her at her school, Sacred Heart High School, and the circumstances around her disappearance baffle police officers to this day. So from what I could find, she was a loving, caring person that loved listening to music, reading books, as well as attending music classes. From her friends to her family, it would seem that she was a lovely girl, maybe a little shy at times, but was adored by those who are close to her. At the time of her disappearance, Mekayla was single. Earlier that year, she had dated an old boyfriend, but they had split up and decided to remain friends. One of her friends had stated that she had connected with around 4 people online through dating apps, but it was said that these communications were short-lived. However, on the day of her disappearance, it is suspected that she was in contact with someone. The major issue with this case is that she used anonymous apps to contact people, such as the app Kik. And this app actually has some very dark history. So these kind of apps are encrypted, and the police in Canada have actually warned people about the app Kik, stating that it's being used by predators to groom young children. These kind of apps have fewer parental controls, which allows strangers to talk to other strangers without even any initial approval, like becoming friends. With this in mind, the police could not track the texts and calls she made on that fateful day. So April 12th started as a normal day for Mekayla. She did her hair, her makeup, said her love yous and goodbyes, and left her home. Concerns started to arise when it came time to pick her up. Her grandmother arrived at school and could not find Mekayla anywhere. She then went straight to her mother's place of work to let her know that Mekayla was nowhere to be found. Her mother initially thought that maybe she had become distracted, or the fact that she adored school, maybe she was still there somewhere. So she went to the school to look for her. When she could not find her, that's when her panic really started to kick in. She was shouting her name. She even resorted to looking under buses for her daughter. But again, she was nowhere to be seen. I can't even imagine what kind of emotion she must have been going through at the time. It doesn't even bear thinking about. For a mother to not know where her child is, it must be awful. Obviously, she did try calling and texting her, but did not get a response. She exhausted all options, even contacting the music class where she was supposed to be attending a violin lesson, thinking that she might have gone ahead without her and forgot to inform them. But again, she did not attend this either. There was no sign of Mekayla Bali. Mekayla's mother, Paula, then returned home. She had a stash of money in the house that was for emergencies for Mekayla. Being a single mother, she wanted to have that there and let her know that if she ever got into any trouble or ever needed it, it was there for her to use. So she went straight to this money and none of it had been touched. It was all still there. Later that evening, Paula contacted the police and filed a missing persons report for Mekayla. I am now going to go through the events leading up to her disappearance and some useful information that I have found that happened months prior. In February, Mekayla received a bunch of roses at her school, but she never divulged who they were from. Apparently it had been ordered online, and although the police did locate the sender, this information was never released to the public. Mekayla often spoke about wanting to move to a bigger city, and the day before her disappearance, she had talked about going on vacation. Her friends didn't take her seriously at the time. Later that day, according to one of her teachers, Mekayla seemed upset in class. After class, she texted her friend Oksana to take her to the bank the next morning, stating that it was important. Her friend responded that the bank doesn't open until 8 and didn't actually end up taking her. Mekayla later called the TD Bank 3 times. This was to check her balance and deposit $25. In the evening, she contacted her ex-boyfriend and a friend called Amy, who later told police she actually mentioned a guy's name, Christopher. The police did investigate Christopher, and we now know that they never actually met in her town. Okay, back to that fateful day on April 12th. She arrived at school after her grandmother had dropped her off at around 8:20 a.m, but didn't actually attend any of her classes, and instead walked out of school at around 8:26 through a back entrance. All of this has been collated through CCTV, so it does give us a pretty good guideline of her day prior to her going missing. Mekayla is then seen on CCTV footage at the TD Bank at 8:51. She is seen on surveillance on the phone to someone as she waits for the bank to open its shutters. Around 8:55, she apparently withdrew $55 and then left. She's next seen at Terry's pawn and bargain shop at around 9 a.m, where she apparently tried to pawn a silver ring. The owner did not take the ring as he was not interested in it due to it being of such low value. Now, in response, Mekayla didn't get worried or panicked or seem at all bothered that he didn't actually take this ring. So she can't have been that desperate for money, because that would have been a normal response in my eyes. You would have thought that she would have been a bit more upset by him not actually taking it, but instead she just left. Surveillance then captures her at Tim Hortons restaurant. It's here where some odd things happen. She bought a drink and sat in a booth with a backpack. The odd thing is that her friends later stated that she never actually carried a backpack, she always used a purse. So why did she have this backpack? To me, it's a clear indication that she had left her home that day with the intention of leaving Yorkton. In the footage, you can clearly see Mekayla turning and looking at the entrance every now and again, as if she's waiting for someone. At around 9:23 a.m, she leaves through one of the two exits. Then, immediately after, returns to leave through the other exit. I find this act very strange. At around 9:49 a.m, she enters the restaurant again, but this time she is on the phone. However, when police did look into her call records, there was no phone call recorded. This was most likely due to the use of the anonymous apps that I mentioned earlier, which can be used to make calls and texts without being traced. The police believe Mekayla was using such an app to make that phone call. As I said before, these apps can and are being used in criminal activities, and it can be so dangerous. So many of us use these apps to socialise nowadays, to educate people and try and avoid bad things from happening. We all want our family and friends to be kept safe in this sometimes cruel world. So during Mekayla's time at the restaurant, after ending the call, she seemed to be waiting, browsing her phone and sending messages while continuously checking through the window. At 10:12 a.m, she texted her friend Shelby saying, "Hey, I need help." She is seen on her phone, then a short time later, around about half an hour, she followed the initial text up with, "Never mind, I figured it out." During this time, she did leave the restaurant again around 10:25 a.m. only to return to the same booth 1 minute later at 10:26 a.m. Again, appearing to be on the phone to someone. Police were not able to trace this call either. A major setback to this case was the fact that Mekayla did use these anonymous apps to make her texts and phone calls. She used Instagram and Snapchat to socialise, and police actually have to go through lengthy legal proceedings to gain access to a person's social media. It can take months to be able to access these records, and we now know that it did in fact take 10 months before the police could access it. And we still do not know if they were able to access her texts and calls through Kik. Strangely enough, Mekayla approaches an older lady that sat near her at around 10:43 a.m. Prior to this, she was actually on another phone call and seemed to be looking around the area, as if looking for someone or following instructions of the person on the other end of the phone. Police later stated that this interaction was Mekayla actually asking the lady for help to rent a room. The lady told her that she was not willing to do that, and again, Mekayla didn't act upset or distraught at the fact that she didn't gain the lady's help. Instead, she made another phone call and left the restaurant at around 10:44 a.m. After this, there is a large gap where Mekayla's actions and whereabouts are unknown, but she is then spotted on a camera at school at 11:59 a.m. Police reported that she spoke to 2 other students, to which she told them that she was going to get a bus to Regina for a vacation. I mean, from what I could find, like I said before, she did speak a lot about moving cities, and Regina was one of the places that she wanted to go to. The police investigation did turn up that she may have been carrying 2 phones at this time as well. Mekayla then leaves school at around 12:02 p.m. She then went to a bus depot where an employee recalled seeing her around dinner time. He remembered that she wanted to know what time the bus was leaving for Regina, to which he informed her 5 p.m. She did not buy a ticket. Mekayla was spotted at a nearby restaurant called Trail Shop where she bought a meal. Unfortunately, there were not many cameras around this area, and her movements after are unknown. This is the last known sighting of Mekayla, and police have not been able to find any more of her digital footprint. 3 hours later, her grandmother was waiting for her at school, and 4 hours after that, she was actually reported missing. Police found that her phone was shut down at 6:51 a.m. the next day. It's been 4 years since Mekayla Bali's disappearance, and her family still regularly post on Twitter and social media to try and bring her home. And despite a full investigation along with numerous tips over the years, nobody actually knows what happened to her to this day. If you have any information on Mekayla, then please come forward. You can contact Crime Stoppers, the police, or even visit her website or social media, which has numbers to call on there. Even if you think the information is insignificant, it could actually break the case and we might find out what actually happened to her. Maybe even bring her home. There are many theories about Mekayla's disappearance. Some say that maybe she was groomed into meeting someone via dating apps, or using the anonymous apps that may have led her to meet somebody insincere who could have possibly kidnapped her or caused her harm. This cannot be verified, of course, but there was speculation from her friends, as stated before, that she did use internet dating apps. People think that also maybe someone could have groomed and taken her and possibly forced her into human trafficking. That is one of the big theories of this case. And if this is the case, we need to find her and bring her home. I also found out that less than 2 months prior to her disappearance, she did actually make a post on social media saying, "Looking for Snapchat friends because I have none in real life. Please don't be a greasy fuck and send me gross nudes. Just looking for friend." Could it be possible that someone did respond to this post with the pretense of befriending her? Could they have then met with her the following month, leading to her disappearance? Okay guys, that's all I have on the timeline and the facts surrounding the mysterious disappearance of Mekayla Bali. And whatever happened to her after leaving the bus stop on that fateful day remains a mystery. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any more cases you'd like me to look into, let me know. But for now, bye!